The Rovers at number 23, Graduation Day on WJJD's survey of July 9, 1956. There are several things to be said about this record. Number one, it was not unusual in the 50s. It was common for a hit record to be covered by loads of artists. There was a hit version of that song by the Four Freshmen. Lawrence Welk also covered this song. So did Tommy Sands. In 1957, the Folks did it. It's interesting about groups like Jay and the Americans, the Bachelors, and the Folks that emerged in the mid-60s. Their vocal harmonies, their harmonizing very, very similar to that of the harmony groups of the 50s, like the Four Lads, the Ames Brothers, the Rovers, the Four Freshmen. It's just the similarity is almost uncanny. Now, with that said, I had to get that off my chest. The song was written by Joe Sherman and his brother, Noel Sherman, the song Graduation Day. They also wrote together, they were two brothers. One would write the music, the other would write the lyrics. They also wrote Ezo Bezo by Paul Anka, which was a hit back in 1962, I think. One of Paul Anka's best, if you remember the song Ezo Bezo by Paul Anka. And let's see, the Rovers. Let's talk about the Rovers for a minute. I did a little bit of research on the Rovers. One guy from Brooklyn, there's another fellow from London, and a couple of guys from Canada. They got their name from a children's series. It was a book. It was a children's book series. So let me rephrase that. Children's book series. That's what I'm trying to say. Called the Rover Boys. The children's book series, the Rover Boys, started in 1899. And there was just a series of books like Rover Boys on the Farm, Rover Boys doing this, from 1899 to 1926. The Rover Boys, the series Rover Boys, were basically about unchaperoned teenagers at a military boarding school. They flirted, they were adventurous, and they also got in trouble with authority and also ran afoul of criminal figures. And they also incorporated some of the latest technology of the day, which made this series fascinating, looking at it almost 100 years later, including that of airplane and stuff about World War One, news about World War One that would appear in some of these books. And that's where the Rovers got their name from, the Rover Boys. And that was published by a fellow named, the author's name is not his real name, but it was published under the name Arthur Winfield, I believe. Rovers, Graduation Day. And by the way, the Rover Boys series was sort of the precursor, forerunner of the Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew, which came along a little bit later around that same time frame. Well, that's all that's got to be said about this record, so that's it. I'm out of my breath. I'm out of breath. So, Graduation Day by the Rovers at number 23.